Hello and welcome back. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in this week. So the latest data shows that house prices are expected to double by the end of the year, and you should probably seriously consider buying a house as soon as possible. This video was brought to you by April Fool's Day. All right, so let's get on with the serious stuff now. I do have some data that actually shows the opposite. Prices are softening, prices are going down in the GTA and surrounding areas. But first, let's get into this week's news on X. So one of the big stories this week is that Canada is going full commie, and our government is now planning to build us homes if they get elected. Listen to this message here from Communist COMMIE talking about how it's time your government got back in the business of building affordable homes. I don't like the sounds of this.
We used to build things in this country. After the Second World War, Canada faced a housing crisis. The government built prefabricated homes that were easy to assemble and inexpensive. And those homes are still here 80 years later.
Now, I just want to stop it there to add, there is a lot of wartime houses or strawberry boxes or whatever they call them. Those homes were supposed to be temporary housing. They were built with like 2x3s. You can see the roof sagging. People go in and brace them up. They are not supposed to be long-lasting homes, and they are one of the worst built homes, if not the worst built homes in Canadian history. So this is nothing to brag about, and I don't think Mark Carney did his research on this one. But yeah, if they're comparing what they're going to build now to those, this is not going to be good.
Now we're in another housing crisis, and it's time your government got back into the business of building affordable homes. We will build new homes for Canadians at a pace not seen since the Second World War. We'll build a Canada you can afford.
So again, I don't like the sounds of this. We're supposed to be building our own homes. We're supposed to have the environment to do it in with good jobs and good careers and lots of land to do it on. But we're going to get into this or the details of this in just a second. They did release one of their information packages. But let's hear what some other people have to say about this. This is from Marty up north in response to this plan, a $35 billion plan to build almost 500,000 new homes per year. Actually, another thing I want to add is before the Liberal government talked about building 3.9 million homes, I think it was, or 3.8 million homes in 10 years. That plan went out the window, and they've even upped it now. Now they're looking at 500,000 homes a year. That was only 380,000 homes a year or something. But $35 billion would only be enough to build 70,000 homes at $500,000 per home. And that is true. From Michael Tomlinson, building homes should never be the government's business. Maintaining the economic conditions in which sufficient homes are built to meet demand is the government's job. Yours has failed repeatedly and completely. And even the extreme leftists don't think this is a good idea. This is from Andrew Coyne, and this guy is so far left, I don't even know where he is anymore. But he's pretty obnoxious. I can't stand almost anything he says, but this is one thing I would probably agree with. We are going to regret this, he says. So here's the full details that they have released so far on this plan. And as you see, Mark Carney's Liberals unveil Canada's most ambitious housing plan since the Second World War. And first off, of course, they start talking about Canada is in a housing crisis, just as President Trump threatens our economy with tariffs. So the first line in this is talking about Trump, which is kind of funny. BCH will act as a developer. So they're acting as a developer to build affordable housing at scale, including on public lands. It will develop, manage projects, and partner with builders for the construction phase of projects. The government will also transfer all affordable housing programs, such as the Affordable Housing Fund and the Federal Lands Initiative, from CMHC to BCH. And BCH is the Build Canada Homes, their new corporation or the new section of the government, or whatever it is they call it. And this part here really stood out to me. BCH will also acquire additional land and offer leases so we can add to Canada's affordable housing stock. So they're going to acquire additional land. Is that through expropriation? Are they going to purchase it? I'd like more details. This is very vague. This is only a 2-page release here. With that $35 billion here, and it says by providing $25 billion in debt financing and $1 billion in equity financing to innovative Canadian prefabricated home builders. So again, it's financing. They're not actually building the homes themselves. They're claiming they are, just like before, but they're actually offering financing incentives to builders and whatnot. BCH will issue bulk orders of units from manufacturers to create sustained demand. So sustained demand. So the demand's going to be from these bulk orders, and who's going to get these bulk orders? I don't know. Maybe somebody's friends and family, just like every other contract, it seems. And they're still offering that GST elimination for first-time homebuyers up to $1 million, which again is outrageous, $1 million, and you save 50 grand. Like most people can't afford $1 million. And lastly, again, this is just the same stuff that's in the Housing Accelerator plan or fund or whatever they call it. And it is actually referenced in here multiple times. This is only a 2-page document, by the way. It says, we will undertake the national effort in partnership with industry and all orders of government, ultimately building faster, smarter, more affordably, and more sustainably while creating higher paying jobs for every Canadian workers. And again, that is just kind of reworded from the Housing Accelerator plan. So I'll leave the link for this in the description. But again, it's really nothing that new in here, just more claims of building a bunch of homes that they've already made, and nothing's happened. They actually haven't built any homes. All right, just a few more news stories before I get into this week's stats. This condo investor is being sued for $860,000 for failing to close. He's one of dozens facing lawsuits as default rates soar. Yeah, it's not unheard of. That's a lot of money, though, 860 grand because you didn't close. I don't know if that's the shortfall or if that's for the whole price of the condo, but yeah, I wouldn't want to be that investor. Another one from Daniel Foch here. Recession is coming before end of 2025. Generally pessimistic corporate CFOs say CNBC survey. So yeah, it's not looking good out there. And yeah, look at the stock market, hasn't been doing so well. But who would have seen this coming, right? And check out the absurdity here with the city councilors in Toronto. This city's a mess. I go there all the time because I have to, not because I want to. And what a mess it is there. Sorry to say, guys. I know there's a bunch of people who live there that watch this show, but your rent is up, your food costs are up, your taxes are up. But do not worry. Toronto city councilors have voted to increase their salaries by 24%, bringing their annual earnings to approximately $170,000 from $137,000. We are all in this together. And there she is, Olivia Chow. Now, I believe the average Canadians workers' income has gone up like 4 or 5% in the last year, all due to inflation, mind you. And these guys get an extra 20% on top of that. And it's crazy how they get to vote. Like, do the rest of Canadians get to vote to increase their wages? No, but these guys just do it. And of course, who's voting? The people whose wages are being increased, which is crazy. But yeah, anyway, I guess they'll enjoy their new wages there. And while this city rots. From Nazma Ali, I'm already seeing condo sale prices this year being substantially less than last year. We thought 2024 was bad for condos. This year is worse. So she claims. I believe it. So the last one here from QE Infinity. This is crazy. Realtors in Florida are turning down new listings because they can't sell the ones they have now because the sellers refuse to drop the price. This won't end well. And I know how they feel. My listings are starting to pile up. I just went through the weekend. I have 7 detached listings and not one showing on either of them all weekend, even till today. It's Tuesday now. So yeah, things are piling up, and you get to a certain point where you just can't handle any more listings. And I'm probably going to be at that point soon. But let's listen to what this guy has to say.
How bad is real estate in Florida right now? I'm going to tell you how bad it is. Because my buddy just called me from Southwest Florida. He's been a real estate...
I got to pause it a couple times because I don't know if that music's going to get copywritten, but yeah, let's keep listening.
...agent for 22 years in Florida. And he just told me that an investor from Canada called him up and said, hey, I want to sell 4 of my investment homes. Can you help me out?
And you know what? This guy's telling the truth because I believe Canadians love to buy multiple properties. Like a Canadian calling you up and saying they got to sell their 4 investment properties, it's probably true.
And for the first time in his career, he had to say no. He had to say, no, I can't help you for one reason and one reason.
Because he's got too many listings. Yeah, like he probably has to order new signs. He doesn't, it's crazy.
He's already got 16 listings. And with his 16 listings, he's got no showings, no phone calls, no nothing.
And this is what's going on out there right now. In Toronto, like in the bigger cities, sure, there's a lot of buyers and the demand is, there's always going to be demand there. But in these smaller suburban areas, it's a ghost town. Unless you have a property priced like low or a very highly desirable property at the right price, you're not getting anything.
No appointments, no anything. He said it's absolutely, positively dead down there. 4 more listings. I can't do anything with the 16 that I have, and the sellers don't want to drop the price.
And it's true. The hardest thing to do is get a seller to drop their price that's not motivated or that needs the money or wants the money or whatever the case may be. It's a tough chore because they think, well, maybe in 6 months, maybe in a year, things will pick up. I'll just wait it out. But this has been going on for 2 years at least now, waiting it out, put it back on the market. And it's tough to have those conversations with your sellers.
And until they do, there's no point in taking on more houses for sale. But that's how dire it's getting in Florida right now.
So there you have it. Let's get into the March stats, the preliminary stats from the Toronto area. It's April 1st, literally. There's still data rolling in, so they're not even ready. But I do have some, and again, they're early, but let's check them out. Okay, starting with the bank sales, the power of sales here. Now, this was from last week, the week of March 23rd, the latest data there on the right, 563 power of sales. This is not a cumulative amount of power of sales. These are just actively listed and conditionally sold that are still showing active. But yeah, 563, it's the highest number we've had in years since I've started checking. Well, I started in 2023, but I have data prior to that on our other system. And if you look at in the middle there, March 2024, there was 179 actively listed, and it actually went down because, of course, in the spring, there's more absorption of these listings, so they don't sit on the market active for as long. So we see those numbers drop. This year, they haven't dropped. They did in January, but that might have been a seasonal thing. But March hasn't dropped right now because they're not getting absorbed as fast because the market's slow. But they're still, triple the amount, so 200% increase from last year, which is huge. So we are seeing these power of sales increase, which is going to translate into mortgage arrears when we start getting that data. Our next data set is going to be from January, which will be very interesting, and things are just going to start increasing quick. But then that's when I'm going to update my home buying recipe, but it's a little too early yet because I need that actual data to come through. So this is the total sales in the GTA for Q1. So I wanted to include Q1 to get a better snapshot of the beginning of the year because, of course, you go month to month from different years. It differs, but let's get the whole quarter. Let's try to compare. So these are Q1s for all years back to 2015, and look at this year. Now we still do have data rolling in. Sales do get reported after March 31st, but it's not going to increase that much. It'll still be on the low side. Right now, it's 41% below the 10-year average. The 10-year average is just over 21,000 sales for Q1. But look how low it is. It's lowest in a decade. And of course, if we had data that went back further than that, we could just keep going probably to like 2009 or something. So yeah, not looking good there for Q1, and it's not just a monthly thing at this point. And here's the sale prices, again, just for the GTA. We're going to get into the all-treb data now in a second, but this is just for the GTA. Lowest sale price, not by much, 6,000 or so, almost 7,000, but lowest sale price, average sale price for March since 2021 in 5 years. So look at last year compared to this year. It's $30,000 down from last year. So that's a big decrease. But let's look at all of TREB data now. This is just the GTA. We're going to look at all of TREB data. This is all residential TREB data, so it even includes Niagara Falls, where I'm from. And look at the sale price. So that's down 4.3% year over year from last March, and it's 2.2 or 2.1% lower than any other year, the lowest year in the last 5 years. So we're seeing these yearly declines now, these year over year declines. And I guess the forecast was right because this year is not looking good so far. Here's the days to sell, the days on market, how long it takes, and I have March again underlined there, and you can see significantly higher than any other March. And look, even than 2020. 2020 obviously was the pandemic, but it didn't start until March 17th, I think it was. St. Patrick's Day was when the pandemic got called. But so March wasn't actually a bad month for days to sell. But it's still higher than any other March in the last 6 years. And the number of sales, look at those number of sales, 10,477. Again, there are still some being reported, but I pulled these today, April 1st, this morning, probably just a couple of hours ago. Yeah, just look at March. Look at March compared to every other March in the data here. And what was the lowest one there? 14,554 last year. So we're significantly lower than last year. But I'm going to put this into a little bit more perspective right now. Check out this chart here. So here I've highlighted every month that is lower than this March, so lower than 10,477 sales. And look, they're all like the winter months. So we have January, And at the bottom, we have December, one in November, one in February, just above that. And then, of course, April 2020, when the pandemic was. Of course, that's lower than this March. But this March has just been abysmal. Like the worst sales. It's scary, actually, but it makes sense because this was bound to happen, right? We went through such a big bubble. Like it's just bound to happen. And of course, all this tariff talk really was the icing on the cake there. But the chart above my head too there, you see those lower highs every year. And last year was lower highs. And I'm guessing this year, like I've said this many times, I just don't know how they can get any lower with the population increase and all the rest of this. But when sales are down, prices follow, and we're already seeing both February and March this year, the prices soften, and now we're seeing those bigger losses in March than we did in February. Actually, let's go back and look at that chart there real quick. So yeah, if you look at February right here, this is the average price for the Toronto Real Estate Board, all areas in the Toronto Real Estate Board. And you look at February there at 2025, it was what, 22,000, so 2%, 2.5, 2.4% lower than the previous year. So this February was, but then you look at March, the losses are getting bigger. We're at 4.3%, I think it was, lower than the previous year. So we are seeing, like I said, we're seeing those price declines happen because the sales are so low, and it's just going to keep happening. It almost looks like, and I don't want to say it, but I think the spring is going to get wiped out this year. It might rebound a bit, but it's going to be tough after the sentiment in the market is as low as it is right now. So that's it for this week. So let me know in the comments, do you think this is a temporary slowdown in sales just for this month? Once the tariffs kick in and we have an election, things will pick back up? Or do you think this is part of that overall cycle that I keep talking about where we are going to be in for a lower sales year and ultimately lower prices? And this might be the beginning of a formal crash or correction. Anyway, let me know what you think. And until next week, I'll see you then.